Hey guys, Zach here, Rachel Legends. Welcome to the video. Glad to have you all here with me today. Sending some love and some positive vibes your way, especially if you need them out there. Today, a great haul guide, both the Affinity bonuses and area bonuses. Great hauls, kind of an updated 2025 guide here. Most of my thinking remains the same, but it's nice for new players. And as you guys know, this is part of the Raid 101 series that we're doing every weekend here on this channel, basically covering the basics. Last week we did, all the debuffs in the game, what they do, which are, must-haves, which are optional, which are nice, which are underwhelming. Today, we're going to do it with the Great Haul. If you have a topic suggestion, go ahead and let me know in the comments below. Also, have you noticed I rebranded the channel a little bit? We got some new artwork. Probably going to change the channel name as well, so be on the lookout for that, even though probably nobody cares. What do we have in the Altar of Souls right now before we jump into it? Actually, before we jump into it, I mentioned in all of these Raid 101 videos, because you might be a brand new player or you might be thinking about downloading. My download link, right? This is not like an affiliate link or anything like that, but new players, second accounts, third accounts, whatever, you can get Eleanor, who's amazing in a burn that can't be resisted on her A1, poisons and poison combustion, and Ugo using my download link. Really, really solid. One of the best epics in the game, decreased defense and block buffs. I think this will be the last week of that download link. I got a brand new legendary coming at you guys next week as well. Not as good as Eleanor though, so take advantage. Anyway, here we go. It's going to be great haul time. So before we jump into the Great Haul, two quick notes, right? You get Great Haul upgrades by playing in the Classic Arena. Now, Classic Arena, if you go down to the tiers section, this is obvious. Everybody knows this, right? Unless you're brand spanking new. But it bears repeating that if, let's just say you're chilling in Silver 4, right? You're getting a 12% HP attack and defense boost everywhere in the game. That's from Chimera and Hydra, Demon Lord. It's in Centranos, it's in the Siege, it's in Live Arena, everywhere, right? But maybe you can push to Gold 4, right? That's going to give you 8% bonus on all of your champions' HP attack and defense, just straight up everywhere in the game. I say that because if you're trying to clear a dungeon level for the very first time, if you're trying to grind your Marius missions, Live Arena for the very first time, if you're trying to min-max your Chimera score, your Hydra score, maybe your clan's in a tight contest in Hydra Clash or Chimera Clash, it would behoove you to push up a little bit in Classic Arena, right? That way you can get those stat bonuses that will help you out, right? When you're trying to min-max your teams and your account. So just a little side note there. Also, to farm up your Affinity bonuses, your Great Haul, I like blender comps. Basically, you take a few champions with AoEs on their A1, and you take an ally attacker, right, on the team, and you move at the speed of the ally attacker. So you want your ally attacker fast. You want to use a speed aura. You go in there, and I don't have gear on two of these champions, so I'm just going to go against Armons here. But you go in with your ally attacker, and then boom, 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 everybody goes in with those strong AoEs, and it's not necessarily the most efficient, right? Because you're going to lose some of your battles, but it's the fastest. And for me, and this is just my preference, right? I don't mind losing 2 or 3 battles out of every 10, as long as I'm using all my arena attacks. I'm always chipping away at my Great Haul. And sometimes when you use like a go second team, like maybe like a Volgoth or like a really slower team, it can just take a long time. It might take you a half an hour to use all 10 of your battles. A nice blender, at least if you care about your time, maybe you enjoy that, and that's totally cool. Like there's tedious things in Raid that I enjoy, but farming my Affinity bonuses wasn't one of them. So anyway, I was all about speed, right? I'm not going to win every speed race, but I'm going to pick and choose. If I don't think I can win, I'm not going to go for it. So either an Arbiter lead, turn meter booster, and then go right into the nukes. That's my strategy. Fast and furious, and I'll take the L's along the way. So let's talk about priorities here. The first thing you need to know about the Great Haul is well, let's just cover the real basics here, right? You have one for each affinity, right? So the magic at the top, the blue, the spirit, and then I'm standing in front of force and void at the bottom, right? So, a lot of people recommend starting with magic affinity because your starting champion, no matter who they are, is going to be magic affinity. Galek, Elhaina, Aethel, and Kale are all magic, right? But nowadays, we mentioned the download link, right? It just so happens that Eleanor and Ugo are also both magic affinity. Magic affinity has always been the meta in Raid, ever since I started playing in 2019. So magic affinity, meaning that there's more usable or super strong meta magic affinity champions than there are of any other affinity, right? So I think you can't go wrong in Magic still to this day, even though we're relying less and less on our starting champions than ever before. Not that they're useless, but I had Vulcan on my main channel. The video's not even out yet. He set an Arbiter world record, right, on his account. He got her before Haikatoon, and he didn't even use his starting champions, right? Because he used the download link, right? So, and you can have like a Monkey King promo code or a Supreme 6 promo code. Supreme 6 on the promo code for new accounts gives you Supreme Galek, a burner. So, like, you're good. You're good with the download champions plus that. Anyway, I digress. So, two of these categories, they're kind of counting stats, accuracy and resist. Meaning, if we go like accuracy Magic, you see the chart here? It goes up. Level 1 is +5 accuracy, +10, 15. And again, this applies everywhere, but it's affinity based, right? So all your Magic champions everywhere in the game will get this extra accuracy. It's really, really strong, right? Accuracy is going to go up 5 all the way up to 80, right? You max it out. You get a baseline 80 accuracy walking into every single battle. Same thing with resist. Stacks up to an extra 80 resist. That's really significant. Now, the other stats, right, attack, it goes up percentage based. So we can get all the way down to 20%. Now, think about it this way. You roll a double roll of attack percentage on a shield, right? Maybe a trip roll. You might be walking away with with 20%, right? Trip roll defense, trip roll attack, right? That's what we're on right now. You might be walking away with 20% on that shield, on that trip roll, right? But if you roll a trip roll on a shield, there's no way in hell you're walking away with 80 accuracy. You get what I'm saying? Same thing with resistance, right? Thus, inherently, there's almost a double value built in to the maxed out accuracy and resistance categories. Now, resistance isn't the sexiest stat. It's not the most necessary stat. It's not even the second most necessary stat. But the value is there. So I recommend starting with accuracy. Personally, I would start with accuracy all the way maxed out on all 4 of my affinities before I expanded. You don't have to do that. Honestly, if you're committed to this game, you're going to get it done either way. I probably should have said this out the gate, but there's no like absolutely, you're not going to ruin your account by messing up or going with whatever, you know? But I think that's where the value is. So I would start out with accuracy, because accuracy is so important, right? Gosh, like 80% of the champions in this game need accuracy, right? Even most of your nukers need accuracy for something. A lot of your supports need accuracy, right? So accuracy is going to be tremendous, and you get so much of it, right? So I would start with blue, and then it depends on who you pull after that, right? You might have a bunch of spirits, might have a bunch of force, you might have a bunch of voids, right? So you can make the decision after that, who you're using most, right? I recommend going resistance second, because that's where the value is, right? But crit damage is also a nice one, right? You can get 25%. But again, 25% crit damage on like an amulet substat, that's fairly easy to get, right? 80 accuracy? No way, no way. So I guess like a main stat, you know, on a banner. So crit damage, some people recommend going crit damage. Others recommend going HP after resistance and accuracy, right? And right after accuracy, you have 3 choices: crit damage, resistance, or HP, right? Now, why HP? HP is kind of the quintessential survivability stat, right? Even over defense. On defense-based damage dealers, in those situations, sure, we prefer defense, right? A Harima or a Marius, for example, right? We prefer defense. Executioner, we prefer defense. But for every reviver in the game, you know, the arbiters, they heal based on their, a lot of them heal based on their HP, right? Moreover, every champion in this entire game benefits greatly from HP. So I think the HP is the way to go, right? Everybody's going to benefit from it. Your supports, your nukers, everybody can use HP, right? You can say the same thing about defense, but survivability is aided more by HP in this game, right? So I think the HP is the way to go for sure, right? So I would go with either probably resistance second, and then I would go with either HP or crit damage. Crit damage is nice, right? But I think HP is probably the way I would personally go. After that, I would go with defense, and then I would leave attack for last. Why? It's pretty basic. Only about a third of the champions in the game, actually it's less than that, right? It's about a quarter of the champions in the game are actually attack-based nukers. There's a lot of attack-based support champions or whatever, but dealing damage based on attack, nukers, there's a lot of them, but they're not the majority of the champions in the game. Thus, this attack category really only benefits a small subset of your overall roster. And we're looking at to approach this from a utilitarian point of view. How can we cause the most gain for the most amount of champions, ergo the biggest impact on our account, right? So now one last thing. I did say I would max out these categories and then move on to the next one. That's just because I'm a bit of a completionist, especially when it comes to, I guess, Great Hall. But it's fine to just, go up until you get to these thresholds that you're like, okay, I can really benefit from this, but I want to focus a little bit more on survivability. You don't have to just max out one before you move to the next one. I've seen a lot of people will just kind of go evenly. So maybe you do focus on accuracy. Maybe you just go magic to level 4, and then you go everything to level 4. Then you come back to magic. You go to level 8. So there's no right or wrong way to do it, but I would focus on those stats, and I would save attack for last. Area bonuses time. Area bonuses is fairly new. You get this from grinding Live Arena, and man, I've been sitting on I could probably max out, a lot here. I'm sitting on 46,000 of these crests, of these Live Arena crests right now, because we have Faction Wars 2.0 coming out. This is kind of for end game players, I guess mid to end game. Faction Wars 2.0 is coming out soon. And before I just dive in and max out Faction Wars, I want to see how difficult the content is first. So I don't know. I'm just hoarding, basically. But let's talk about it, right? Area bonuses, again, we play Live Arena to get our crests, right? And it's weird. The one thing that you should know about area bonuses that people don't really talk about that often is when you climb in Live Arena, right? Let's go to Live Arena really quickly here. When you climb in Live Arena, how am I doing right now? I am 79th in the world. And pretty embarrassing on the win rate, but I'm grinding hard here. We have 2 days, 16 hours left at the end of this season. Can I make top 100? I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, I digress. When we go through Live Arena, right, we get these crests that we can upgrade our area bonuses. Now, there's different tiers as well, you guys can see. But when you progress and you go into gold here, you can't go back, right? So what I'm trying to say there is in the very beginning of in area bonuses, before you've gone to gold, right? And the game will lock you and keep you there. Progress isn't that bad, right? Because if we click upgrade in a random area, it's going to cost you the same amount of crests, right? There's bronze, silver, and gold. But the problem is once you've cleared gold, you can only use gold. So everything inherently becomes a little bit more expensive, right, after you progress to gold, because everything's going to cost you those premium crests, and you don't get a discount along the way. There's no usually you'd think intuitively it would just convert down, like, okay, 25 of the bronzes, sure, but only 20 of the silvers and only 15 of the no. So you're kind of gate kept away from that. So it does get more expensive in a way as you go. At least the challenge in the arena is going to be a lot more difficult along the way. It kind of stinks, but it's as they intended as well. So let's talk about the areas. Potion keeps. I think that most people can pass on potion keeps, right? Eventually you'll get there and you'll max it out, I guess. But potion keeps are very easy content in the game compared to everything else here. Faction Wars. Faction Wars 1.0, if you're struggling in Faction Wars, is a great place to invest, right? 2.0, they said it's going to apply Faction Wars. Now, everything has a grade, and that's going to dictate how much things cost. So grade 1 to upgrade is 25 crests. Grade 2 to upgrade is 50 crests. And then grade 3 to upgrade is 100 crests starting point. That is insane. So grade 3 is Demon Lord, Hydra, Sand Devil, Phantom Shogun, and Curse City, okay? There's no Siege area. There's no Chimera area. I think I've heard that they came out and said that they're not going to add a Chimera, which I'm really bummed out about. I don't know how you guys feel about it. But anyway, those are the grade 3s. You can probably tell by what I focused on, what I'm going to recommend, right? So let's talk about the areas first. Fire Knight Castle, Fire Knight Hard. I think that universally, it does depend a bit on who you have on your account, but I think it's the hardest area, right? The hardest dungeon of the traditionals, of the grade 2s, right? Sure, you could use some stuff in Doom Tower, in Iron Twins, depends on what you're struggling with, right? When we get to the grade 3, in grade 1, I would focus on Faction Wars 2.0. I would be saving right now if I was you guys too, just to see what happens with Faction Wars 2.0, right? You might want to unload in Faction Wars, and it's cheap to do so, relatively speaking, because it's grade 1, okay? Escalating costs the higher that we get. So grade 3, well, I'm going all in Hydra, right? Now, this is a bit old, meaning when I maxed out Hydra, I was really into Hydra. Nowadays, I'm not as much into Hydra. I'm into Chimera, and they don't have an area for that, right? Another reason I'm hoarding, just in case they add it, just in case they go back on their word. But I think that Hydra is a good investment for most players, and Curse City as well, right? Curse City is very important. It's considered endgame content, as is Hydra Clan Boss. Those are the 2 grade 3s that I think are worth your time and your investment, and it's hard-earned, right? It could take a while to farm this stuff up. Let's talk about the categories. Well, there's 3 insanely good categories here. Let's start with speed. Man, you can upgrade speed. Now, I'm not saying speed is better than the next one, right? But speed is huge. To have 20 extra speed when maxed out is significant because Raid Shadow Legends is all about speed, right? So it's going to help you tremendously. But how about the ignore defense? Woo! 20% built-in ignore defense is insane. It's insane. Obviously, we do not have an ignore defense category in Affinity bonuses. We have crit damage. Ignore defense is 10 times better than crit damage. So we can get that up to 20%. That's big. At level 5, it will be 10% ignore defense. It's huge, right? It's almost a Savage set worth of ignore defense that we're getting in our area bonuses. So you're definitely going to want to prioritize that in a big, big way. Now you notice I kind of broke my own rule here. I went attack over HP. That's because in area bonuses, everything's kind of out the window a little bit. If you can already survive in a specific area, for example, in Hydra, I wasn't dying. My teams were already staying alive when they already introduced area bonuses, right? So I can continue to, min-max my damage by going for attack. So everything's going to be a bit situational when we talk about area bonuses, depending on how your champions on your account are doing in that one specific area. So ignore defense, very good. Speed, very good. And accuracy, again. I mean, getting an 80 accuracy in Hydra and another 80 accuracy from Affinity, they stack, of course, 160 accuracy just from farming your Great Hall, right? After that, again, same thing with the resist and counting stats. There's a lot of value there. You might not need it for a specific area, though, so it is a little bit more bespoke to the specific area, again, in the area bonuses. But the best value is speed, ignore defense, and accuracy, followed by, in my opinion, again, situational, resist, HP, and crit damage. All right, guys, that's it. That is my Great Hall guide here, updated for 2025. Let me know if you agree, if you disagree with any of the advice, and if you have any suggestions on next week's guides, let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and as always, take care, guys.